A day later.
But at any given time, any given moment, our lives change with a second.
And the loss of a state trooper has been no easier to accept.
I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach.
And while we're learning more about his killer,
we have no idea what his motive was.
questions mixed with memories of Trooper Chad Dermyer.
That we're thinking of you, and God bless you, and rest in peace.
But first, right now, we're following breaking news from Virginia Beach. Police say a child is dead, and she may have drowned tonight. They say that she disappeared, and minutes later, someone found her in a nearby pool.
This happened on Old Ridge Road. Now, you can see that's near the intersection with Beaufane Boulevard off Kempsville Road, just 2 blocks from Tallwood High School. That's where we find 10 on your side's Liz Kilmer. Liz, what's the latest?
Tom and Nita, we're told that that toddler was reported missing at this home around 7 tonight. About 20 minutes later, police say she was discovered in a next-door neighbor's pool. She was taken to the hospital but didn't make it. We want to show you a look at the scene from earlier tonight. Lots of police at the home where we're told the little girl was in the care of her grandmother. Police right now do not believe this was suspicious. We approached people in the family's yard. They asked that we respect their privacy. They did not have any comment. We went to the home where the girl apparently drowned. A woman answered the door and told us it's her brother's home, his pool. She says he wasn't home when this happened and is absolutely devastated learning this. Police say the pool is fenced, but there was a hole in the fence allowing access. That hole, I'm told, was the result of recent damage. Police are continuing to investigate. Right now, no charges have been filed. Again, police believe a little girl drowned here tonight. Police at this point do not believe it was suspicious. Investigators do not plan to release her name or her exact age, but again, we're told she was a toddler. As soon as we get more information, we'll bring it to you. For now, I'm live in Virginia Beach. Liz Kilmer, 10 on your side.
So sad to hear that. Now we're going to focus on a chance for showers and storms overnight. The wind is picking up too.
Chief Meteorologist Don Slater is joining us now. And Don, how are things out there as we speak? But more importantly, what can we expect for the rest of the weekend?
I think most of the weekend is going to be rain-free, but we're beginning to see signs of rain moving on in. We'll see more of that during the overnight hours. It's not very heavy. It's not very, very widespread whatsoever, but there's a little bit of rain trying to snake its way northward, and you can see it into the Edenton area, right on through the Edenton area and making its way on northeast. A little bit closer view of things. You can see it toward Hertford and Windfall, but it's nothing big, and it's not going to be big for a while. I think later on tonight and first thing tomorrow morning, we'll likely see a little bit of heavier rainfall as a low pressure area right now, which is down on into here south of Atlanta. That'll start working its way northward along a front, and that'll get us with some rain. Now, the heaviest rain has been over the Gulf today. It's robbed us, really, of some of the heavy rain. We were supposed to have a lot of water vapor snaking its way northward, but it hasn't happened because all of that heavy rain, it just fell out. So we're likely to see some of that lift its way northward with a few rumbles of thunder in the pre-dawn hours. Here's where we are at midnight with a short-term version of Future Track. Just to update it, I think it's got a little too much rain, but you're going to get the general idea that there's going to be a lot of rain in a swath right through here. That is quite likely through the pre-dawn hours. So severe storm threat minimal, pockets of heavy rain toward dawn, rain for the morning into early afternoon. The rest of the weekend, I'll have it for you in a few minutes.
Now to that major story we've been following since last night. The events leading to Trooper Dermyer's death, they are becoming a bit clearer with time.
But investigators say it will take time, no telling how much, to sort through all of the evidence from Thursday's shooting at a Richmond bus station. Meanwhile, neighbors and people across the country are remembering the man who lived and worked in our area. The Michigan native made his home here, working with Newport News Police and later serving our communities as a state trooper.
And tonight, hundreds came together in Chad Dermyer's honor near the place that he would lose his life. 10 of your side's Aaron Kelly brings us the story from Virginia Commonwealth University.
As one of the speakers said, an event like yesterday's shooting traumatizes the entire community. Tonight was about that community saying thank you and being there for a man who had been there for them. They sat where people often come to cheer, to celebrate, in the auditorium. But the giant blue and black ribbon displayed before them was the reminder of the solemn event.
We pray for this family who is left without a husband and without a father.
Richmond Mayor Dwight Jones and so many others at VCU's Siegel Center Friday night were dressed in blue. They'd been asked to wear it in support of Virginia State Trooper Chad Dermeyer, killed at age 37 just one day before. Police say James Brown III of Illinois shot him multiple times at Richmond's Greyhound bus terminal after Dermeyer approached him.
Sometimes when that good man or that good woman, when they step up to the plate to prevent evil from prevailing, it comes with a cost. Chad paid that price.
Some at the vigil held blue and white flowers. Fellow members of law enforcement were asked to stand to be recognized, their badges shrouded.
We pray for our city in light of this senseless tragedy and this senseless murder that brings tears to our eyes as we think of what should not have been. And we thank God for a man who gave his life so that we might be safe.
Throughout the day, a steady stream of supporters dropped off flowers and notes on Dermeyer's vehicle, parked in front of State Police headquarters, where he'd become a trooper less than 2 years before. State Police say they are still investigating what happened and working on funeral arrangements for Trooper Dermeyer. In Richmond, Erin Kelly, 10 on your side.
And we have been telling you about Trooper Dermeyer's local ties. He was a former Marine who also worked in Newport News before moving to his hometown in Michigan. 10 on your side's Jason Marks spoke to those who were close with him here.
We are mourning his loss. He is truly a member of our family. He'll always be remembered.
Chad Dermeyer spent only 4 years with Newport News PD, but it did not take long to become one of the department's best.
I wish we'd had 100 like him.
Dermeyer's first police job took him to the north section of the city. He was part of a unit focused in on interacting with the community.
He was exceptional in every single way. He always strived to do his best.
For 4 years, Dermeyer worked side by side with his partner, Cindy Grace. The two were inseparable. So much so, they often were known as Grace Meyer.
We loved the name. It was amazing that it ever stuck. But, you know, it's the epitome of us, because we might be two people, but we were absolutely just one unit. There was never one without the other.
Grace says no matter who Dermeyer came in contact with on the streets, everyone was treated with the same respect.
He made you a better person. He made me a better person. He made me a better police officer.
The partners separated when Dermeyer left to become an officer at his hometown in Jackson, Michigan. But they were never far apart until now.
It's devastating. I will have a void in my life for the rest of my life.
That void will never be filled, but everyone knows the impact Dermeyer made while he was still here.
And I'm very lucky that I was able to be a part of his life.
10 on your side's Jason Marks reporting. Neighbors in Gloucester have been showing their support for the fallen trooper and his family. Several local business owners felt the need to change their signs along Route 17 in his honor.
And moving beyond the memories to the police investigation of Trooper Dermeyer's death, state police say the man who killed him was James Brown III from Aurora, Illinois. Brown also died as a result of yesterday's shooting. We learned that he's been in and out of court many times. Since 2001, Brown racked up convictions on gun and drug crimes, intimidation, even trying to strangle a pregnant woman. The sentences in all of these cases added up to more than 20 years behind bars, but somehow, he was a free man yesterday when state police say he pulled the trigger on Dermeyer. Brown was headed from Raleigh back to Chicago. Richmond was just a stop along the way. 2 other women were hurt in the shooting yesterday. Investigators say they are both expected to recover.
And when he stopped in Richmond, Brown was carrying a handgun along with 143 rounds of ammunition. We are learning more about the timeline of the shooting and how his path crossed with Trooper Dermeyer's. 10 on your side's Deanna LeBlanc reports.
But at any given time, any given moment, our lives change with a second.
Just 25 hours after the shooting at the Greyhound bus station, much more new information is available.
We've interviewed an incredible number of people.
Police say Trooper Chad Dermeyer was training, but that the operation at the bus station was real. Dermeyer, new to a specialized terrorism and drug task force, was learning as more senior members looked for suspicious activity.
We put people in the Greyhound bus line terminals from time to time because we know that drugs and sometimes weapons.
Flaherty says Dermyer noticed James Brown III, who was in the restaurant area, walk toward his bags, which were closer to the entrance. Dermyer approached him. It's unclear if they exchanged words, but Flaherty says surveillance video shows what happened next.
As Chad approached Brown, Brown turned away from his luggage, walked away from it, and then within seconds, he pulled a .40 caliber Beretta semi-automatic pistol from his waistband of his pants. Turned back toward Chad, and they were pretty much side by side, with Brown being to Chad's right. He turned into him and fired his shots, multiple shots, struck Chad multiple times, and he went down.
Flaherty said 2 plainclothes officers almost immediately returned fire, striking Brown. We now know Dermyer was not wearing a protective vest. Flaherty says there's no policy regarding vests within state police.
Well, we encourage our people to wear a vest. Our policy doesn't dictate that you have to wear a vest. We would prefer that you do, but there are situations, and many times that gets to be training situations. And keep in mind that part of this day was a classroom training, and so it was his choice.
He says given the extreme close range of gunfire, it's unclear if a vest would have saved Dermyer's life. I'm Deanna LeBlanc, 10 on your side.
And looking ahead to this weekend, where people are already planning to honor Dermyer, the Gloucester Sheriff's Office says there'll be a vigil for him Sunday evening from 5 to 7 in the Gloucester High School parking lot.
We understand that some of you may feel compelled to give something to the Dermyer family in this difficult time. We posted the way for you to do that on WAVY.com. Find it at the bottom of our main coverage tonight. You can also view pictures from the scene in Richmond, read statements from lawmakers, and go through a timeline.
Coming up, we'll look at how Virginia Beach plans to protect its namesake for the next generation. But first, we want to leave you with the support that's been pouring in for Trooper Dermyer.
Fellow officers in the law enforcement community have been posting in his honor. Portsmouth Police put this on Twitter with the hashtag #ThinBlueLine. Here's one from Northern Virginia, Fairfax County. It says, "Our thoughts are with you," to the Virginia State Police Twitter account.
And the last, several precincts in New York City sending condolences to the family of Trooper Dermyer with the hashtag #NeverForget.
There's a wave of support, if you will, to help rebuild the beaches of Virginia Beach.
The city says it's ready to start funding sand replenishment projects again, which it couldn't do during the recession. Then at your side's Matt Gregory has the story of how that's changing next year.
The miles of sand that hug the resort city do more than just draw in the tourists.
The beach provides protection against large storm events. The beach dampens those waves and prevents them from coming and damaging infrastructure.
Phil Rohrs works for the Public Works in the city of Virginia Beach, and he says to protect this asset, the city has spent decades refilling the shoreline.
Then we went into a period of about 50 years that we did truck hauls, where we actually purchased sand or purchased borrow pits inland and trucked the sand to the beach.
While the method has changed to a pipeline, the mission stays the same, but so does the problem. Every year, Virginia Beach loses enough sand to stretch from the ocean front to just outside Fredericksburg, around 250,000 cubic yards. And every 4 years, the city set aside millions to pump sand.
And then when the recession came along, 2008, 2009, our city budget got extremely stressed.
So the city cut beach replenishment and got along from year to year. But that will change with the 2017 budget.
The city manager has proposed that the project again begin receiving annual deposits or appropriations so we can rebuild the account and be prepared for the next replenishment.
Here's how it works. The Army Corps of Engineers pays around 65% of a roughly $15 million replenishment effort. It's up to the city to pay the rest, and if the city budgets around $2 million each year, the resort will have no problem protecting the beach for the next 50.
This beautiful wide beach that you see behind us is really all man-made. Every grain of sand that's visible today was placed here by man.
Refilling the shore for future generations. In Virginia Beach, Matt Gregory, 10 on your side.
Now, your Super Doppler 10 forecast with Chief Meteorologist Don Slater.
Might not be a beach day tomorrow.
I don't don't think much this weekend. We're already starting to see some rain in the area.
Yeah, we are. It's not very, very much at all, but I think by tomorrow morning, yeah, we'll see a lot of rainfall, and it could last through around the noon hour or so into the region. It's going to be a little cooler, too. Let's have a look at what's going on Super Duper 10 Live. There is some rainfall finally showing up into the region. Saw a little bit this morning, and really the bulk of the day has been rain-free and around 80, 81 degrees for most of us, especially with that brief burst of sunshine that we had around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. As far as rainfall out there right now, is nothing to write home about. Again, nothing very, very big. Okisko, Parkville. Here's Hertford, Elizabeth City behind my head here. So that's where it is. It's moving northeastward. It's tending to lose its punch as it does so. But there's a lot more rain that's out there. That could be lifting northward during the overnight hours and meeting up with a cold front that's going to be dropping on in. And it could produce a few rumbles of thunder. Severe weather? No, not very, very likely whatsoever. But we are likely to see things really start to perk on up a little bit during the overnight hours. Wind will pick up overnight as well, especially south of the front. North of the front, winds will be a lot lighter. But with that front dropping on through, it'll act as a focal point for some rainfall moving on through and possibly some rumbles of thunder. 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Deidre Tate will be with you tomorrow morning for Wavy News 10 today, showing you what's going on with that. 10 to 15 mile-an-hour winds, 10 to 15 mile-an-hour winds at the noon hour. The bulk of the rain has moved off, and by 3 o'clock, hardly any rainfall whatsoever. 66 degrees for a high temperature. Wind will pick up a little bit at the end of the day out of the west at 10 to 20. And we're done with the rainfall. There's where things are by midnight on Saturday night. Now, overnight, there'll be a little shot of reinforcing cool air and more of a northwesterly wind that'll kick on in. Northwesterly 15 to 25 miles an hour. And it'll drop our temperatures. It'll only be into the 50s during the day coming up on Sunday. And that wind will tend to taper off as the day wears along for most of us. Near the water's edge, though, eastern shore especially, that wind should continue throughout most of the day and then start to taper off later on. 56 degrees for a high temperature on Sunday. There's where we are by Sunday evening at 7. A light southwesterly wind at 10 miles an hour and 10-mile-an-hour winds out of the south-southwest by the midnight hour on Sunday night. And then after that, we'll warm back on up a little bit for Monday. Now, how much rain do we get? I think this may be overdoing it in this swath just a bit, but it gives you an idea that, yeah, we're going to see some fairly hefty rain as that low pressure moves on through by around 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. So you may be awakened by some rumbles of thunder, and you may be awakened by some heavy rain across parts of the region, or it could be just so dark and dank outside, you might just roll over and go back to sleep and forget about it because it's Saturday morning. But then by Saturday afternoon, I think we'll see the rain move on away. Here's what's going on right now. We've got temperatures basically around 72, 75 degrees, 69, 71, 73, 75 degrees. Overnight, well, at midnight, it'll still be around 71. It's not going to drop a great deal overnight. Could see a stray shower or two. But then I think we'll start to see things build up a little bit more by 2 o'clock. By 4 o'clock in the morning, by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, 60 degrees, good chance of rain through about the noon hour. And then by 3 o'clock, it's mostly gone, 66 degrees. And we'll end up with wet grass even for the end of the day. But again, we're likely to see things dry up overnight as things become windy. And that wind will continue into Sunday morning, 56 degrees for a high temperature on Sunday, 68 on Monday, warming right back on up, and then drops again for Tuesday with some morning rain, 51 degrees. So temperatures next week kind of up and down and all over the place. The big thing, though, is the weekend. We'll see some rain late tonight, tomorrow morning, and ending by around noon or so throughout most of the area, and then becoming much cooler again on Sunday.
Sleep in.
It's the weekend. Hey, a marriage proposal was all right until it wasn't.
That's right. Why the bride-to-be got a new ring and the best man had to make a rescue.
Most people say it's one of life's most precious moments, proposing marriage.
It is. It really is. But it can also produce a lot of anxiety. I know that too. As soon as this southern groom got down on one knee, he dropped the ring. That's right. He had spent his life savings on that precious piece, and it only took a moment to end up in the bay.
First thing was, did that just happen?
Yeah, disbelief at first.
And we're thinking that we just saw some splash, that this was not real.
Oh, but it was. He jumped into the water and tried to save the ring, but the current just too strong. So the best man actually had to rescue him. Greg and Sarah returned to the jewelry store and she got a new ring. The store offered Greg a discount because of what he went through. By the way, she said yes. I hope so after all that.
Pretty expensive proposal. Norfolk's Granby Street on a Friday night. It's an experience, and tonight we include another dimension, time travel. What you're seeing is a vision from the early 20th century. Lights over Granby. City planners recreated the Arches of Light, which illuminated revelers downtown into the 1920s. Lights over Granby celebration joins the festivities of First Fridays, lighting the way between City Hall and Brambleton Avenue.
The Masters tees off next week down in Augusta, and it will be an extra special event for a couple that lives in Virginia Beach. The amazing story of Mark and Audrey Leishman coming up on the Sports Wrap.
And remember, we have a chance of rain this weekend, so we want you to keep track of changing conditions with the WAVY Weather app. It's free for Apple and Android devices.
I'm Brian Parsons in for Bruce. Golf's first major tournament of the year tees off next week down in Augusta, Georgia. It's the Masters, and so many storylines, including one that involves a golfer that lives in Hampton Roads. Mark Leishman is from Australia, but he lives in Virginia Beach with his wife Audrey and their 2 young sons. This time last year, Leishman was in Augusta getting ready for the Masters when he received a phone call that changed the life of he and his wife.
Audrey was sick, but we just thought it was the flu.
Leishman didn't think much of it, but things continued to get worse for Audrey.
I was in Augusta, got the phone call when I finished the practice round on the Tuesday, which was the week before the Masters, basically saying, you got to come home. Looks like Audrey's going to get admitted to hospital. Turned out she got put straight into the ICU and things went downhill from there.
Audrey had acute respiratory distress and toxic shock syndrome. Her organs were shutting down and she was placed in a medically induced coma.
Basically got told that she was, without saying it, that she was going to die.
But after a couple of days in a coma, Audrey began to improve.
I think about where I was and what could have happened. I know that it is pretty much nothing short of a miracle that I'm here talking to you.
1 year later, Audrey is still recovering. She has a weakened immune system and she's much more fatigued, but she's not too tired to make a difference.
That's why we've started the Begin Again Foundation. Our signature program is the Leash Line, and we will be helping 3 families per month at $1,000 a piece, and that money can go towards their mortgage or buying groceries or their car payment or towards medical bills, pretty much whatever they need. And that will be going towards survivors of toxic shock, sepsis, and ARDS.
Busy with her foundation, a celebrity golf tournament is scheduled for October. Before that, though, the Leishmans will head to Augusta for the Masters, and Audrey will be Mark's caddy at the Par 3 contest on Wednesday.
I'm really excited about it. This year is so special to us, and it's definitely not something that I'll ever take for granted again.
I think that's going to be probably a pretty emotional day. That time last year, it looked like, she wasn't going to be here for that. So for her to be out there and spending time with the family is going to be really good. We'll be chasing the boys all around the place, I'm guessing, and just having a great fun day. So yeah, excited about that, and then obviously it'll be a great lead up to the Masters.
Amazingly, doctors gave Audrey a less than 5% chance to survive. She went to Salem High School and graduated from William & Mary, by the way. And for more information on her foundation, go to beginagainfoundation.com. And good luck to Mark Leishman at the Masters. We'll be right back.
Probably want to sleep in the morning.
Yeah, I think you might want to. There'll be some rainfall coming up tomorrow morning as we continue. We start to see some rain overnight. There's not much rain, if any at all, out there right now. Now, toward around 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, we could see some pockets of heavier rainfall through the area. And then it'll taper off at about the noon hour, and perhaps 1, 2 o'clock. It'll be gone, and then we'll see a breezy, cool day Sunday.
Not too bad. Half a weekend.
Yeah, have a great weekend.